Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. We know that the Ghislaine Maxwell case is vast, and we know that there is literally a treasure trove of evidence that the prosecutors are going to be using. Well, in a new report from the Boston Globe, it looks like prosecution has already turned over more than 300,000 pages of evidence to the defense in the Ghislaine Maxwell case. So let's jump into the Boston Globe and check out what the deal is. This article was published by Travis Anderson, and the publication is the Boston Globe. Headline: Ghislaine Maxwell lawyers scouring more than 300,000 pages of evidence from prosecutors in case linked to Jeffrey Epstein. So that is a vast amount of documents, right? That's a lot of stuff to go through, and I'm sure that there's still more to come from the prosecution. We just heard from them recently that they're going to be playing it close to their vest, and they don't want to release some of their information at the very least until 8 weeks from the trial date. So I can only imagine what they have amassed over the years from all of the different investigations that have been put into place previously, investigations that might have been stopped. Who knows what the prosecutors are up to or what sort of information they're tapping into, but obviously they have a bunch of it. Lawyers for Ghislaine Maxwell, the socialite, co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, general all-around scumbag and bipedal serpent, charged with helping late financier, pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein sexually abuse underage girls, have received more than 300,000 pages of discovery from prosecutors in the sensational criminal case pending in federal court in New York, records show. So, wow. I knew discovery was going to be vast, and I knew it was going to be huge, and maybe I'm just naive because this is the first case that I've ever truly followed to this extent, like this, and federally speaking, as far as, documents, et cetera, So maybe maybe this is every federal case, but I don't think so. This is a lot of discovery pages, folks, 300,000 so far. And again, I can only imagine what is contained in those 300,000 pages. The eye-popping tally came in a legal filing submitted by prosecutors this week in U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York, where Maxwell, 58, is charged with conspiring with Epstein and others. Charged with conspiring with Epstein and others. That's new. Now, we know that others are going to be charged. At least we're thinking that's the case, right? But for the author here to slip that one in, pretty interesting. So maybe the author, it's a bit of a Freudian slip and the author thinks it's going to happen, or maybe they know something we don't. Who knows? But either way, with all of those sealed indictments and with all of the information we have about the grand jury investigation still ongoing, et cetera, obviously there are others involved in this and others who are going to be indicted. Enticing a minor to travel to engage in illegal sex acts, conspiring with Epstein and others to transport minors to participate in illegal sex acts, transporting minors to participate in illegal sex acts, and perjury. All right, well, just right there alone, we're talking about the Mann Act, we're talking about RICO, and we're probably talking about 20 other federal crimes just right there alone. So, yeah, I would expect other people to get indicted and other people to end up in some significant trouble here, because you can't conspire with a party of one, right? There's other people involved. These aren't shadow people. These aren't make-believe people. These are actual, living, breathing, I don't even want to call them humans, but I guess humans who were involved in this. So yeah, they're going to have to pay. Maxwell pleaded not guilty and is being held without bail. Her Her case and her association with Epstein, who counted U.S. presidents, British royalty, show business heavies, and stars of academia among his friends, has generated international headlines. Well, when you commit international crimes, it becomes international headlines. I know. Very, very groundbreaking news I just dropped for you there. For more, you just come check out my TED Talk. I mean, really? Of course it grabbed international headlines. This happened in how many countries that are on record? A bunch, right? And then how about the countries that aren't even on record where nobody has come forward, but you know Epstein spent a lot of time, and when these people are spending a lot of time in places, well, what do you think? John Wayne Gacy's just going to stop himself? Ted Bundy's just going to say one day, yeah, I've had enough. I'm not going to be a psychopath killer anymore. The same kind of tendencies with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, he might not have been a serial killer, but he was a serial predator. That much is for certain. Epstein died in custody last year while trial on federal sex trafficking charges. His death has been ruled as suicide. Specifically to date, the government has produced approximately 328,863 pages of discovery to the defense in this case. Prosecutors wrote in a filing Wednesday in Maxwell's case. Those materials include, among other things, photographs, documents seized during searches, search warrants, search warrant applications, financial records, travel records, property records, phone records, law enforcement reports, and other subpoena returns. That seems like a whole hell of a lot of stuff to be turning over in discovery, and it seems like it's pretty wide-ranging. Warrants, applications for warrants, financial records, travel records, property records. I mean, the federal government has had literally, and this isn't hyperbole, decades to build this case. If they can't prosecute this case correctly and get these people sent to prison, then they should all just pack it up, and everybody at the Just Us department should call it a day. The government, the filing said, is continuing the process of reviewing and preparing productions of electronic discovery materials, which include extractions of data from numerous electronic devices. The government expects that it will meet the November 9th, 2020 deadline for the completion of electronic discovery productions. So by November 9th of 2020, the government, prosecution, Just Us, thinks that and expects that they will be prepared to have all of the electronic discovery materials sent over to the defense. That is the date that's been set, and they feel like they're on target for that date. Now, if we're already at 328,000 plus some change, I wonder how many more are coming. Additionally, the government recognizes that its disclosure obligations are ongoing, and the government will continue to review the prosecution team files for any additional discoverable or exculpatory materials. So they'll be continuing to search through that, going through all of this, the treasure trove of information that they're sitting on, and they'll be sending over whatever will be, used in the trial, I guess, as discovery to Maxwell and her team. And boy, oh boy, they better have a lot of people on board to go through all of this discovery stuff. And it also makes sense now about Sternheim being brought in with all these pages of discovery. Another quote unquote super lawyer being there to run her eyes over it and to give a fresh perspective is certainly a good idea from the defense's perspective, right? I know if I had this kind of money, I've said it before, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd have every specialist you can imagine. I would make it an absolute battle in the trenches. And that's what you have to expect from Maxwell. And the prosecution's ready for that. And that's why they're being so coy about things in certain regards, right? Because they understand that they're up against a pretty powerful team of lawyers. This is a pretty explosive case, and they understand the stakes. Maxwell's trial is tentatively scheduled for July 2021. And I will be at that bad boy from the beginning till the end. Prosecutors say she and Epstein groomed girls for participation in sexually abusive behavior by building a rapport with them through shopping trips, taking them to the movies, and spending time with them. As the ties strengthened, Maxwell would introduce sexualized behavior, ultimately leading to Epstein abusing the girls, sometimes with Maxwell's participation or presence, prosecutors allege. So, obviously, in all of their decades of investigative work, they have a bunch of stuff, right? This is not some weak case. This is not some case that's just resting on a very thin strand. This is a case with layers and layers of evidence and other people that they can put the pressure on to talk. And when you have a criminal organization like this, and everybody in the criminal organization is Tekashi 69 or Henry Hill, meaning they're all ready to rat to save themselves, well, you're going to have some serious singing going on. And Ghislaine Maxwell is going to have people breathing up her neck, putting all the blame on her. So she's going to have to really dig herself in here because she's the one left holding the bag in a leadership role. Authorities allege that girls were sexually assaulted in Epstein's Manhattan residence, in his home in Palm Beach, Florida, and at a sprawling ranch in New Mexico. The indictment alleges Maxwell played a role in the sexual abuse and exploitation of multiple minor girls by Jeffrey Epstein, specifically 3 girls who were allegedly abused in the 1990s. And again, we know that as of now, those are the charges that are on the docket, unsealed. But we can also expect that there is a lot more coming, folks. Look, again, I don't have inside information, right? I'm not sitting here saying to you, oh yeah, this is definitely going to happen. I'm talking about in the scope of what we have been investigating and talking about in our ongoing conversation here, 718 articles deep. From all of the evidence and everything that we have seen, it is obvious that there are more charges coming. And also, even in this article itself, we're talking about how she's charged with conspiring with others, etc., etc. So I have no doubt that more charges are on the way. It just is, whenever the prosecution thinks that it's going to be the best time to unseal those sealed indictments and further push this case into the public view, then I guess we'll see it. But I don't know how no other indictments could be possible in this case. It would be an absolute joke and an obvious inside help job if there's no other indictments here and nobody else goes to jail, because Maxwell and Epstein did not do this themselves. There's no way they could have put this all into action on their own. They had a bunch of co-conspirators, they had a command structure, and they had people who were carrying out the orders that were passed down by the commanders. Maxwell has repeatedly denied wrongdoing and called some of the claims against her absolute rubbish. Just some of them, not all of them. I mean, really? Come on, we all know that she's not trying to weasel her way out and say she's innocent here. It's all about the loopholes. Keep your eye on that as this trial gets closer. Just keep your eye on the technicalities, the loopholes that they're trying to use. Because if they're going to go into court and think that the evidence is going to help them and that their client is like going to take the stand and be like this sterling witness, boy, they're in for big trouble. And I doubt that's the path her lawyers are on. I think they're well aware that technicalities and loopholes are their best bet here. She was arrested in June in a stately $1 million home in Bradford, New Hampshire, that authorities say she had earlier purchased in cash through an LLC. Again, an LLC. Now, folks, where else have we talked about LLCs lately? Oh yeah, that's right, in the FinCEN files, huh? Yeah, that has been an ongoing topic of conversation here on the podcast as well, because as you can see, it all ties in. Now, I try not to anyway, talk about things on this podcast that don't directly relate to Jeffrey Epstein or Maxwell or one of the co-conspirators, survivors, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to the cash chase, the money hunt that we're on here, there is no better place to start than with articles like the Finson files to build, right? To build the whole entire picture for people who might not understand, who might not, there's a lot of people that would never even think to put two and two together. Oh my God, money laundering and this human trafficking go hand in hand. The legacy media has failed in their job to let the public know what is going on in cases like this and what the stakes truly are. Her lawyers have said she vigorously denies the charges, adding in court papers filed in July that she maintains the support of family and friends because they do not believe the allegations against her, which do not match the person they have known for decades. Family and friends, huh? Well, maybe some family, but friends? She doesn't have very many of those, okay? You don't see how many people, how many friends are running out to defend her and put their name on it. Other co-conspirators in her world, like Alan, I kept my underpants on Dershowitz. But as for regular people, nobody that's been in any of the pictures with Ghislaine Maxwell has showed up and been like, hey, yeah, that's my homie. We're real close. We're real close. You guys had the wrong idea. She wasn't down with that. No, everyone's been doing a marathon run away from her. All right. And now as the case starts to become more open and people start to understand just how disgusting Maxwell was, and always will be, well, the marathon, my friends, that's going to become a sprint. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box, along with the Facebook link. As for my emails, I'm still barreling through them, folks. Bear with me. And again, if you want to get in touch with me and I have not responded to your email in the last 4 or 5 days, you can find me at that Facebook link on that page. And I check there periodically and nothing gets buried, so I can find your questions there a lot easier. All right, everybody. I will see you later on tonight. I hope you all have a fantastic day.